We're back now with the controversy swirling around a big NFL star who took a stand by refusing to stand for the national anthem.
Colin Kaepernick says he did the right thing. You can see him sitting on the sidelines Friday night.
He will now continue to sit through the national anthem at NFL games.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people that are being oppressed. When there's significant change, and I feel like that flag represents what it's supposed to represent, and this country is representing people the way that it's supposed to, I'll stand.
One of Colin Kaepernick's teammates joined him in taking a knee.
He's exercising his constitutional right. I think he cares about real, legitimate issues.
Get that son of a bitch off the field right now. Out. He's fired. He's fired!
Players peacefully taking a knee, locking arms, some with fists raised in the air.
We just got our first glimpse of what figures to be an eye-opening day in the NFL.
Specifically, what would you like to see change in order for you to stand?
There's a lot of things that need to change. One specifically is police brutality. There's people being murdered unjustly and not being held accountable.
In 2020, an act that had largely been attributed to one man and one sport spread across the globe. In the wake of George Floyd's death, taking the knee became a symbol of defiance against systemic and everyday oppression felt by our black community. It took centre stage, becoming commonplace ahead of sporting events the world over.
The captains of the Premier League, we've got a captains group. We really wanted to make a big important stand. We wanted to do something to show our support for the Black Lives Movement. The decision was made to take a knee.
When we spoke about taking the knee and what it represented, I went and spoke to my teammates and we were all for it. My reasons for taking the knee is that, the racism, we needed to stop, but we also need to take a stance on it.
I was trying to reflect on, people's views that it could be seen as an empty gesture, and did it really mean anything, or was it just something that people would put on Twitter and say, look, we're doing this, we clearly care about equality and diversity. But for me as a player, when I do it at the start of the game, it gives me that moment, that pause of 10, 15 seconds to kind of think back and reflect on why we are doing this.
It sparked conversations. People have different opinions on it. People agree with it. People disagree with it. But either way, it's starting a discussion. And the discussion is always about racism because that's the reason we're doing it. I'm more than happy to speak to people about it. Regardless of what your opinions are. I'm happy to have a conversation and we can agree to disagree at the end. But it's about education. It's about educating each other. And I think taking a knee has definitely done that.
When things happen, more news happens the next day, and we quite quickly shift on. And we forget about, whatever it was that happened, and we move on and we don't actually deal with it or confront it at all.
We're halfway through the season now. You're still discussing it. I'm watching games. The commentators speak about it when we take the knee. So we're constantly in your mind, which is the objective.
I think as footballers and as sports professionals, we have a place within the community and we have a place in society where, a lot of things that we do, people see.
I know some people said, look, it's run out of steam, taking the knee and it's not as impactful. But I would say that what we need to do is keep it in the conscious, at the front of people's minds. This needs to be something that is a thread that runs through everything that we do. And by taking the knee, even if it's lost its initial impact, it keeps it at the forefront of people's minds to say, look, we cannot take our eye off the ball.
Every player that does it is very clear. The protest is against opportunity, is anti-racism, it's supporting our teammates, it's supporting the staff that work with us. It's a unifying. Every time I see it, although I heard people say it's being less impactful, I didn't feel that, because every game I go to, when I see it, I think it is actually hugely powerful.
As Burnley took on Manchester City in June 2020, a banner was flown over the Etihad Stadium reading "White Lives Matter Burnley," shortly after players had shown their opposition to racial discrimination by taking the knee.
I'm ashamed, I'm embarrassed that a small number of our fans that have decided to put that around the stadium. It's not what we're about at all. Missed the point, the whole thing that we're trying to achieve, trying to do. I think these people that need to come into the 21st century and and educate themselves does not represent what we're about, what the club's about, what the players are about, and what the majority of the fans are about, for sure.
All lives matter anyway, you know, that goes without saying. I think the difference is Black Lives is not on the same level as all lives, and I think that's the real key issue.
I was at Millwall when the supporters booed the players taking the knee on the pitch, and I know there was a lot of talk afterwards about why they were booing, and it was a political thing, it wasn't a racial thing. But the reason they were booing is because they've been fed complete misinformation about the Black Lives Matter movement and what it represents. It represents unity. It represents every single person on this planet being in a position where they can go and achieve anything that they want to if they work hard enough. That's what it represents. It doesn't represent Marxism. It doesn't represent violence or looting in the streets. But because top government officials play into that narrative, people are being, again, miseducated to behave in the wrong way.
When people disagree with something, they'll try and spin a story that makes others think, well, they're right, actually. That's the reason the players are doing it. I disagree with this. I'm going to boo it. I don't think they should be doing it. So education's key. Whether people, you look on social media, for example, whether people are moaning about it or they're saying, why are they doing it? My answer to that is, you're sick of players taking the knee, which is 10 to 15 seconds before a game. I'm sick of racism.
The Black Lives Matter movement was and is a monumental cry across society for fundamental change after suffering centuries of racism. As an anti-racism education charity, Show Racism the Red Card supports this cry, along with those who choose to take the knee in solidarity with it.